So we saw Godzilla X Kong this past weekend or week, and so I'm gonna start off with you. Just some first thoughts. Not anything spoil. I mean, to be honest, is there much to spoil?
There isn't.
I don't think so.
I feel like we could go into this just in a spoiler review if you guys are cool with it.
I mean, I guess I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to a Godzilla X Kong movie for like the plot.
Right.
So maybe we don't even have to do that.
Okay. So my thoughts. I did like this a lot more than the last movie. It wasn't everything that I was like hearing the hype about, but it was a really fun movie. It had a lot of really good visual storytelling. I love that the like Kong and Godzilla felt like main characters this time around.
At least one of them, I think.
Sure, I would say sure. One more than the other. But like for the most part, most of the fights were really well done. Visually, it looked really well done. Some good humor. I was pretty happy with this one, to be honest. So
okay,
those are my initial thoughts, I guess.
I'll say I did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I feel kind of, but the thing is, I kind of feel like I didn't get what I thought I was gonna get, and
so what did you think you were gonna get?
Like I thought I was gonna get, and in a way I did get it, but I thought I was gonna get this just like high octane, just like craziness, which like just straight up so many monster battles, which we did
get a lot. Yeah, like way more than the last one.
But my issue is that we got a lot, but they didn't last long. And
there's two fights I was actually pretty upset with.
Yeah, like I will say, like the two fights I was pretty upset with were the Godzilla fight with the Tiamat.
Yeah, I was like, we just cut away from that. Like that's it. So, like that they were building that up. He was like the most like insane, massive amount of energy in the world is like right there with Tiamat.
Exactly,
and he just kills him. Right.
So that one was pretty disappointing. And then the one with Kong in the water.
Yes, they just cut like he threw his head, and I was like, come on, we need to see more of that fight.
Both these like water, ones. I was like, all right,
they don't have good water fights, I guess.
So. In a way, like, I did have, like, I had fun with it. The plot is completely nonsensical. I can't even
but here's the thing. It is crazy at points. I'll give you that, but it's like, it's a way better story than what we got last time. Like,
see, I feel like I disagree. I'll say this. I liked Godzilla versus Kong more than this movie.
No.
Because... No. Now, I don't remember all of the plot with Godzilla versus Kong, but at least there was...
You had a human villain. That was lame as hell. Like,
well, I don't know. I kind of like that extra side of it. But with this one, I was like, okay, it was just kind of ridiculous because they're like, my daughter who's from this, like, tribe from Hollow Earth is having these dreams and writing this shit, and then we're like, oh my god, it looks the same way as these fucking sensor readings. And I was like, I guess it's a bit of some sort of a stretch, but like, but then they follow Kong in, and then I didn't really care about any of the like, these are your people, and like, I'm letting you go, and all this.
But in a sense, like if you're gonna build out lore for anyone, like do it for Kong and that little girl who have like really had no lore built off them and have been in like multiple movies,
Yeah. Well, so like, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be a lot more fun. To also, like, I had fun with Godzilla X Kong, and I liked feeling the like, antagonistic nature of the two, like throughout the whole movie. It was definitely just a Kong movie because I felt like Godzilla was kind of an afterthought half the time. Like, he just, but like, because with him, he was like, okay, when we cut to Godzilla, he's fighting this crab creature in Rome. He's sleeping in the Colosseum, and then
well, I mean, like what else? What else is he supposed to be doing? He's the protector of Earth, and he sleeps and then he fights. Like that's it, you know.
Well, but that's not an excuse to have, like, because they're right there. It's like, well, what else is he supposed to do? I feel like there's got to be something else with his character, you know, like a lot of it was Kong, and then Godzilla was like, well, I feel like I'm sensing something, and we're just assuming he's sensing what's going on,
right?
And so he like goes and hibernates and gets pink. But there, like that. So for me, like, I just wish there was more of like a Godzilla side. I liked all the Kong stuff, like him when Kong goes searching, basically, and like follows that little monkey, like everything leading up to like the Scar King, and even like the dialogue-less like interaction, like that was like great. That was so good.
Literally every time Kong was on screen and it was just him and like that little monkey, even like that was probably my favorite parts of the movie, because it was like pure visual storytelling, and you could tell like what Kong was feeling. You could tell what was going on. It was really well done. And and for the human side of things, what was so rough about last movie is that you had like in so many of these, like, you know, I guess big budget Hollywood movies like Transformers and like Independence Day, like those are the movies that come to me where like everyone is like everywhere, like you're focusing on like 5 different like human plot lines. This one was like one plot line. It was interesting because it was a mystery. You were trying to figure out like what was going on in Hollow Earth, and like 2 of the characters I was actually like pretty happy, like Trapper and the podcast guy were pretty funny like the whole movie. And then you also like built out like, and I guess the problem, or maybe not the problem, but the reason I don't have a problem with like how crazy this movie gets is because you basically took it to an insane level last movie. And I'm like, okay, anything that comes after this is just like building on top of that, and we just have to roll with it. And so I didn't really have a problem with that, like with the girl, like having these kind of powers, and like these people like living in Hollow Earth that also like speak telepathically and like have Mothra as their guardian. I was like, okay,
Mothra was great. I love Mothra.
Mothra was cool. Yeah, I was happy to see him. I wasn't expecting that. I think like my problems per se were like, those 2 fights I spoke about, and then the fight, like how it starts at the end is, I don't hate it, but it's it's like everyone's floating around. You're not getting like the weight and everything. So when it's finally like grounds itself, that's when it gets really good. And especially when they go to Brazil, like that's a really good fight spot. They totally decimate Brazil or whatever, Sao Paulo or whatever it is.
I was telling Hannah, like she hasn't seen like any of the Monsterverse movies, so this was her first one. And I was like, I
think you actually need to see the last one first, to be honest.
And I was like, the weight of like the decimation that you could feel in 2014's Godzilla is nowhere. Nowhere. Like it's just like it's like, yep, that's a building. It's, you know, a whole city's been destroyed.
Yeah, this building's just being flung right at Kong, and you're not really feeling it, right? Yeah. No, but I don't know. I think also the villains were pretty well crafted. Like you had this ambitious orangutan ape that wanted to conquer the surface Earth, and then he was, you know, controlling this ice dragon. And the ice dragon was done pretty well. Like I was pretty happy with like how it was being controlled and how it had this kind of like emotion you saw at the end. All the emotion in the Titans were done like pretty well, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I liked Shimu. I thought Shimu was cool.
Shimu, right?
I to be honest, I thought that the end fight, like to me, the end fight with Godzilla and Kong, and then when it switches over to fighting Mechagodzilla, I was so happy. I loved it so much.
It's just such a short
this one
fight, though. This one's not like, I feel like this one's longer, to be honest.
I guess I gotta rewatch it, but I'm just remembering back on like how I felt more than anything. And this one was fine. It was fine.
Fine, that's it?
Like,
I don't know. I was pretty hype at the last fight once it got grounded.
I feel like I'm not alone in this because I saw that there was like an article put out after the movie came out where it was the Monsterverse has a villain problem, and like I guess I kind of agree, where it was like this one also in a way is like, okay, let's have evil King Kong, and then let's have this like, not necessarily that Shimu is the opposite, but like, you know, like I guess
it's a foil to Godzilla, sure.
You know, and I was like, fair. And also I was like, yeah, like I granted I liked both of them, but like I guess I didn't feel like when King Ghidorah shows up in Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was like, this is a good villain. And I still think they're gonna do something with that because like they still have his head, if I remember correctly from the end of that movie. But I don't know. Like I felt like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that like Scar King was gonna like wanted to do something on top of the earth, but I didn't feel like the weight of like the scariness with him all the time. Like I was like, oh, he wants to get up there and cause some shit, but like I don't know. Also,
I mean, like if Godzilla and Kong are like, if he goes past them, then like that's it, you know, like
yeah, you know, no, for sure. Yeah. But like, and I don't want to be too negative. I still had a good time. Do I think I want to watch it again? Probably not.
I honestly would have a good time watching it again with somebody. I think I would.
Yeah, I mean, like
which is wild.
I'm glad that you like the stuff between Trapper and the podcast guy. I didn't
like how we both can't remember his name.
I really found Brian Tyrese Henry, like I didn't think he was that funny.
He had a couple of cheesy lines for sure. Like he had some rough ones, but like for the most part, yeah.
I like Trapper. I did
cool.
like I like Trapper.
And I did like him in the last movie. But
was he in the last movie?
Wasn't he? I thought he was
a new
with
character.
I thought he was with the woman. Like,
was he
last movie? Yeah, the CEO woman. Yeah.
Well, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Honestly.
I mean, they definitely hint at it. At like early.
I know that there was like a past relationship, and I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, so they have a history. Okay. But but like I like I thought it was hilarious when he's like taking Baby Kong and just beating the shit out of those. Oh my god,
that fight was great.
That was a good fight.
That. Yeah, it was a good one.
And I like the beginning of the movie too. Like when he's like luring those like dog creature things.
Like again, so much visual storytelling there, and like you got that Kong was smart in that he had been doing this for a while, and then you saw that he was sad because he didn't have any family and he was alone, and like it was just really well done.
Part of the thing is like I could gather that from the beginning of the movie, but then you have these human characters be like, well, Kong's been searching for his family for so long, he must be so sad. And I was like,
they had to really shove it in your face.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Also, did you see this movie in Dolby?
No.
Okay, so even when I saw it in Dolby, and I don't know if you experienced this too, but like, and I'm bummed about the music in this movie because I think it was.
I thought there was gonna be like more like
more synth 80s like metal, right? Yeah, just this cool stuff, and there really wasn't that. It was like more popular songs from the 80s and 70s, and for the most part, when like they were playing those songs, it was hard to hear. Like they didn't mix it well, at least in my theater, and it was like you could hear a lot of like the fighting and just like the actual noise of the movie over the actual music. And I was like, this isn't hitting how like Dolby theaters usually hit for music for me.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I don't know if I had that issue per se.
Yeah, I was a little bummed with the music because I was expecting more. But yeah. Other than that, right?
Yeah, I guess I still kept my like as much as I could, like my expectations, like put them away.
Sure.
But I guess the one thing that I thought I was going to get more of was like that insane, like we're gonna go synth heavy, like this 80s music. And we didn't really get that. Like I thought they were gonna go like really wild with it. And I guess it didn't go wild enough for me. Maybe that's part of the
I would have really
problem.
preferred if like they had their own composer or something, or like, you know, somebody who actually did the soundtrack for this movie. I mean, maybe there was somebody and I just really couldn't tell. But
I mean, I'm
really
sure
wanted
there's
like
somebody
an
who did the soundtrack. But yeah. But overall, like out of 5 stars, I gave it like 3. You know, like it was pretty middle of the road for me. Like
for like a really dumb, like action heavy, like monster movie, I'd give this like, and it's hard for me to get to a 4, so I'd probably give like a 3.5. But you know, like respectively, it was a fun time, and had a lot of really good fights, and to me, it was a much better story. And you condensed the human characters and set it in one plot, and had some of them be pretty funny, and I was feeling it. Yeah. I think it stalled like maybe a little bit at one point in the movie, but like really, it was a good time. Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Well, wild that I liked that more than you. I did not expect that.
I didn't expect it either. I didn't.